He has a God.
Should we talk about that today? How to be perfect?
Yeah.
How to be perfect.
How to be perfect.
How to be perfect. Have perfection.
Yeah. So welcome to the Truth Project. We're going to talk about being perfect today because that's exactly what we're called to be as Christians, right?
Yeah.
Because we all have it together.
Figured out.
We all have it figured out, especially in relationships, right?
Mm-hmm.
We have everything figured out.
No flaws.
No
if
flaws.
you don't have it figured out in a relationship, then
why are you in a relationship?
no, yeah.
Okay.
So,
Essentially what it is.
yeah.
All right. Well, sweet.
So we can go home now, right?
Yeah, that's it. The point blank, guys.
Okay.
Thanks for tuning in. We're so excited that it went like this because it's such an easy lesson for today. Thank you guys for tuning in. This is episode, I think it's 7 or 8. 7. It's been a break. Hey, Happy New Year's. Happy New Year's to you guys. We made it to 2021. That's right. I was joking. I'm not that dumb. We made it 2021. I think I'm not that dumb. And we're here. Thanks for tuning in. This is going to be awesome. We have Matthew Fletcher here today, and Emily right there with us. So excited about that. And yeah, so how we doing? How we doing in the new year? What have y'all been up to? What's going on? Did something happen here recently? I don't know what's going on with you guys.
We're just continued just the dating life. Okay. You know? I mean,
nothing major.
Nothing major's really happened.
Okay.
Actually, psych, look at this bad boy.
Hey, let's go.
We got engaged on December 12th.
Yeah.
Getting married on August 27th. So we're going to be married by the end of 2021. Super excited about that. This past few weeks, New Year's just been wedding planning stuff and venues.
I know zero about this stuff.
Oh gosh.
Zero.
You don't want to know.
You don't.
Does it start
Yes.
like before you even get engaged, pretty much? You have to start thinking about everything?
Yeah.
It kind of depends on the situation. I could probably do a whole podcast on just this. I mean,
so
some people,
today's podcast is
some people are really eager to like get started and pick a date in a venue, and they will do it before they get engaged because they know like, oh, we're gonna get engaged. This is the timeline we've talked about. So like, oh, sorry, I scraped it. But like I know some people that have literally had their venues booked and they're not even engaged yet. But we waited. I mean, we would talk about it and kind of have ideas and stuff, but the week after we got engaged, really the next day through that Thursday, we toured venues. Yeah. Every single day.
So it starts.
It starts.
Yeah. It starts.
And you got to get all the big things done fast or you lose like availability, all that stuff.
A lot of the things you can wait on, but like you have to get a venue and a date first, like right off the bat, and then that's where you kind of build your wedding around.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I'm super grateful because my man here, and Emily, they agreed. I'm one of the groomsmen, and I can't stop smiling when I talk about that because they mean so much to me. And so this is a super cool thing for you guys. Thank you for being here. Thanks for taking the time out. I know you were doing adult stuff and searching for apartments and married life stuff. And you took the time out to come over here and talk and be a part of this. So thanks for doing that. But what I want to get into today is just essentially what this podcast is about is discussing truth through stories from extraordinary people. And like we all have stories, we all have testimonies. And I want to talk about your story today and how you guys have gotten here, if that's about the relationship, about the engagement, or if that's just about just different things that you guys have been through. Would love to get into that. And starting out, like being in high school, because we are a part of Rebel Base. I mean, this is kind of a thing for our students here, but also we have viewers that are in college and whatnot. But where I do want to start out is for those that are at Rebel Base and of the teenage age, dating in high school. Have you seen a shift in that even since from you guys being in high school? How does that work out now in your perspective, or worked out with you guys in high school? Was it just something that was pressured? Was it something that happened organically? Was it something that everybody does, and then y'all ended up finding love at in college and whatnot, just through your story? Like, how does the dating experience work out? Or are you just like, hey, I find this girl very attractive. I'm just going to go ask her out and see what happens. Speak on that a little bit.
So I think I'll start by just telling like our story in high school, and just kind of how we started dating, and then Emily can elaborate on sort of like the nitty gritty details and things like that, and wisdom that she has gained. But so we met sophomore year at it was called Reach, but it's Forge Weekend now. But it was
here at the church.
So
it's
we
here at
met
the church.
at
Yeah. So our sophomore year,
Yeah.
we met there. My leader that week had been a leader for Emily at UM the year before.
Okay.
And so Emily had met a few of my friends, and she, we just kind of connected, and we were hanging out like the entire weekend. And after that, I think there were some, Cupid was definitely in the room during that time.
Okay.
And so, we went on a date or two, and we hung out a few times over the next few weeks. And then for some reason or another, it just ended up not working out, whether, Emily just didn't know what she was looking at when she saw me or what. But we stayed friends. We were really good friends.
Yeah.
We still saw each other at shift and church on Sundays and Edge Camp and UM Army and mission trips and all that stuff. And we stayed really close friends throughout that. And, we were still hanging out a bunch and just not going on dates and things like that. And then my senior year of high school, we started dating around the end of the first semester over Thanksgiving break. I think just one point I want to make on that is it was super beneficial for us to be friends for 2 years. I think just as a 17-year-old kid, I didn't really understand when people say like you need to be friends with someone first before you date them. And then now like looking back, it makes like perfect sense because when we did start to, make it official and be boyfriend and girlfriend, I was like, I know, like I've known Emily's character and who Emily Prather is and what her family's like and what she stands for. And I knew all those things. And there were a lot of things I didn't know about her because, I'm still learning more about her each and every day, but the what Emily stands for, I knew and wasn't just kind of guessing going into the relationship, which was super important.
Right. So you would say it's okay to have patience. Would you say it's even more important in high school, or just in general, staying patient with it and just letting kind of it organically happen? Or is there pressure? Did you ever feel pressure at all as a guy to pursue? Because biblically speaking, that's essentially how it should be. If you're a girl out there and you're pursuing a guy, I highly recommend just discerning about it, praying about it, going in community about it, and letting this person that you're pursuing pursue you. And if they're not, that might be a sign that they might not be interested. But as a guy, did you feel pressure at all, or was it easy for you to kind of take a step back and say, okay, I'm gonna wait a little bit?
Yeah, I think I definitely did feel pressure.
Okay.
I'm not, when I was younger, I wasn't exactly like the most wise person, and I'm not going to be the first person to say like society didn't influence us all. But, in high school, it's cool to have a girlfriend and cool to have, or a boyfriend or whatever it is, cool to have this, cool to have that.
Right.
And so there's a lot of pressure to have a relationship and a lot of pressure to make it work and make it and be high school sweet.
Make it seem perfect.
Yeah.
Right?
And make it seem great, make it seem like there's no problems. But there was definitely a ton of pressure. I don't know if there was a ton of pressure like specifically for me to date Emily, but there was just a ton of pressure for me to find a girlfriend in high school.
Yeah, it was something you wanted.
Whether I noticed that internally when I was in high school, or whether that's something I recognize now, but it definitely was. There definitely was a ton of pressure, to find a relationship.
Yeah. So speaking on that, from the girl's perspective, is it hard? Do you guys feel pressure to pursue guys because it seems like nobody's asking girls out anymore, or the pressure to have a boyfriend, girlfriend, to be this, have something perfect? And I know we joked about it at the beginning of the podcast, but I think it's something that we wish we could, attain, is this perfection, right? And that's true for all of us. And so from a girl's perspective, how was it for you in high school? Was there pressure? Was there this sense of, I'm going to feel complete with somebody?
Oh yeah. I think in general, that's a lot of what I mean, the Christian culture definitely focuses a lot on relationships and marriage, and like people in high school may not get this now, but I bet if you're in college, you do. There's always like the pressure to do the ring by spring, which I mean, we got, so it kind of feels silly talking about it, but that was always something that I wanted. I was always this like hopeless romantic girl that like wanted to have this like great love story and be really loved by a guy and like be in a relationship that people looked up to. And like I definitely, for me personally, like felt that like I wanted, but I don't know if necessarily that was a society thing or if that was a me thing. But I mean, I dated somebody else before Matthew, and I thought that it was great, and I thought that it was what I had wanted it to be. And then like I remember like kind of looking up with Matthew, like after we'd already started dating, and being like, I had no idea it could be this good, and like how I put so much pressure on like that relationship to be it, then it like wasn't, and like it also was devastating. And so I think that can be like such a trap, is if you put, and that's a whole other conversation of just like if you put expectations on a relationship or on a person to fill the void in your heart or to make you feel complete, like what you said, and determine your worth, like you will be let down no matter what. And I know that was like a lesson that we had to learn too, is like I had to really check myself, especially in the beginning of the stages of the relationship. And sometimes even now, like, am I running to Matthew for comfort? Am I running to Matthew to like make me feel good about myself? Like, am I searching in our relationship to give me identity and purpose and my worth? Like, when only the Lord could give that to me. And so I think there's a lot of pressure in that, and social media creates pressure of, you know, you see all these couples on Instagram and he's posting this of her and like she's posting this and they're so great. And
again, the perfection, right?
and it's so not the case. And so I feel like that's something I've tried hard to, at least on my social media, to be like, whenever we do post, or I post a lot about like us and how it hasn't always been easy, not necessarily going in details because there's a limit, but
right, absolutely. Yeah, but trying to be as real as possible, you know, because like there is a balance. I mean, you know, I've always tried to understand that social media aspect of how much do I want to show, and it's all about intentions at the end of the day. And I think people will sniff it out if your intentions are wrong. You might still be getting the likes, you might still having the best filters, but at the end of the day, the person that's looking at it on another device, wherever, they're going to sniff out the intentions. And people talk, and then there's drama that happens. But again, that's a whole nother conversation. Well, so high school, y'all started dating. How long have y'all been dating? What are the years?
It's 4 years. It was 4 years on November 21st. So like 4 years, 2 months ish.
Okay, and the steps to get through those 4 years were very easy.
Yes, 1, 2, 3.
1, 2, 3. Y'all had it planned out. I would even say, I bet y'all prayed about it, and it was just because y'all prayed. It was just like, all right,
snap your
God
fingers.
told me, snap your fingers, do the stand, and do it all. Sorry. Anyways, this is New Year's type vibe still going through college. You know, you always have that reputation of you're not going to make it through college. Well, obviously. It happened, and I'm sure it wasn't the easiest. So I want to get into that a little bit of what were the steps taken, and it doesn't have to be like, oh, this is what we did. Like just thinking back, what are some ways that you guys were able to make it work out? Have you thought about that? So yeah.
Do you
I mean, I think it boils down to one thing. That's just, you know, making Jesus number one in our lives and making him everything. And being ourselves and who God has called us to be before that, you know, before being who Emily wants me to be, or who I want Emily to be. Right. And you know, it wasn't that our problems got easier or our problems necessarily changed, or the things we struggled with changed. But as soon as we, you know, started reaching our potential as children of God, and started really leaning into, you know, who God called us to be, that's when we became, you know, more ready to be engaged, more ready to be married, and started being able to, you know, look inwardly and being like, what am I doing in this relationship that is hurting Emily? Like, what am I doing, rather than looking at her and being like, there are all these things wrong with her. Why doesn't she fix them? Or, you know, when she does have these issues, when these, burdens are put on me, giving me the strength to show her grace and forgiveness and giving me the strength to carry those burdens
and to communicate. Right?
Yes.
Yeah.
How big is communication?
Oh my gosh.
It's not that important, really.
Yeah,
No, I mean, especially in long distance.
Yeah,
you
that's
know,
right.
we
Long
have to-
distance. So LSU and then A&M
Yes.
or Auburn.
I was at Auburn
then
freshman year.
A&M, but long distance the whole
Yes.
time,
Yeah.
pretty much.
So
Right?
obviously communication,
Yeah.
which is something I've had to work through. I hate texting. I
Yeah.
probably forget to reply to Emily like 6 times a day.
Yeah.
And like that's now,
Yeah.
So
Yes.
imagine when I was 18 years old. So
Father God.
so it's communication is huge, and not only just, oh, what did you do today? This and that, being like
Intentional communication. That's good.
Yeah.
this is hurting me, what you're doing, this is hurting me, what someone else is doing in my
Yes.
The
life.
hard
Or,
conversations.
hey, like I screwed up, like
Wow.
being transparent, things like that.
Yeah.
That's
This is
good.
what I did, and
Yeah.
not trying to sweep those things
Right.
underneath the
Yeah.
rug.
And from the girl's perspective, how important was that for him to be the initiator on some of those things? Like,
Yeah.
did you see that as something that it was his job to do? Did you communicate that to him, or has that been something that just has happened to where it was his position? When I say his, it's the guys, it's the one of, I guess you could say biblically speaking, because the world has a whole nother perspective just on the general culture. But from the girl's perspective, did it happen organically of him communicating things to you?
No.
Or was
No.
it, what did you have to sit down and expect, did you ever expect him to do it and it wasn't there?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
I
I love how he's
Yeah.
like, yeah.
No, he knows. So, I mean, this is going on the topic of long distance and going kind of back to the original question. Like, it has been so hard.
Yeah.
And even like we're gearing up, he's leaving on Saturday, and like it is hard.
Yeah.
And so, and there were moments throughout all of it that I was like, I really don't know if we're going to make it.
Yeah.
And like, where we had to have so many hard conversations of like, is this worth it? Do we see it? It's so hard right now. But does God have marriage in the future for us? And is this like hard right now? And we learn now to be prepared for marriage. And I think that's ultimately the decision that we came to. And with communication, absolutely. With long distance, you have no way of loving each other.
Yeah.
90% of the year, like besides communication. And so he is definitely more introverted and reserved, and like I feel like it's harder for you to articulate how you're feeling, and that has like
Via phone, like via being away.
away
Outside
and
of
in
action.
just general. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm a very emotional person, and I wear my heart on my sleeve, and so for me, like it gets me in trouble sometimes because I overshare, or like I let my emotions get the
Yeah.
best of me. But
Yeah.
I feel like for you, it's a lot of like, I just would ask you if you're okay, like wanting to know how you're doing. And it was like more of a process to get there. Do you agree with me?
Yeah, I agree. I also want to just share one thing. I think doing long distance and just being in a relationship in general, communicating was so hard, and like showing Emily that I loved her,
Yeah.
because I am not someone who necessarily gives words of affirmation
Yeah.
as like, that's not how I show my love. That's not my love language, giving it, right? But that was really the only way
You could show it.
I could show it. I couldn't give her a hug for physical
Right.
touch, or
Serve me.
I mean, I could ship her a gift or do acts of service.
Call
or anything.
Tiff Treats real quick.
Yeah.
Oh, there
Which
were
I-
lots of
there's
tips.
a lot of
treats.
tips.
There was a lot of tips
There's
treats.
a lot of tips.
Thank
After-
you, Tiffany. You're
Yeah.
amazing.
After those hard
please sponsor us.
conversations, there was a lot of
Yeah.
tips treats
Yes.
sending to College
Seriously,
Station.
like I've saved almost all of the notes, and it's
That's
like
amazing.
the world sucks, I suck, but Emily Baker
Oh,
does
that's
not.
amazing.
Yeah, and like sorry, I suck, like from Matthew.
Yeah.
Okay, so hitting on that, what were some of the ways, and that seems simple, but I think speaking from brother to brother, I mean, that's pride that we got to strip.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
To pick up the phone. Oh, she doesn't deserve for me to get Tiff's treats, but
Because I'm a brat. I am a brat. I'll be the first to say it. I am.
yeah, but it takes a point of stripping pride away and saying, okay, I got to do this for the sake and for grace, but for the sake of the relationship. So what I want to ask, for those that are viewing that aren't Christians, that aren't a part of the church, how do you see yourself being this healthy in a relationship this early without Jesus?
It's impossible. You know,
I
You see what I'm
I agree.
asking?
That's
Yeah,
probably really harsh, but I agree.
no, it's impossible to be, you know, just in a healthy relationship.
Yeah.
Well, because it's like the culture. They when I say the culture, the general culture, just outside of the relationship with Christ, promotes a different type of pursuing each other.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
It's a different. It's a whole
Lustful.
different type of view. It's more of a pleasure, and I'm not really speaking from opinion. Some ways I am, but like it's a fact. It's a reality that's out there. So like that's why I want to ask that. So
Yeah,
I mean to interrupt, but
No, you're good. You're good. But you know, we've had people throughout the years, you know, reach out to us about advice for long distance, and we're just always kind of amazed by it because we are not ones to give advice.
Yeah.
You know,
I beg to differ.
yeah.
I mean,
I think we are, but not
we
be
have
wait,
learned.
I hear humility. That's
Yeah.
good.
Not
It
because not
is.
because of what we've done right, because of what
Yes.
we've done wrong,
and what we've learned.
what we've
Yeah, I hear
learned.
it. I hear it.
the
I hear
hard
it.
way.
But you know, a lot of the times it's reaching out to Emily because she's more, you know, active on social media, and people are more willing to ask her questions and reach out to her. But I mean, the first thing she always says is, if Jesus Christ is not number one in your life, if He's not the only thing in your life, and you're not making every decision based off, you know, Him and how He's changed your life, and you're saved because of Him. Like you're not going to be in a healthy relationship. And you know, you may think you are, right? But you know what God has planned for us is always, you know, more joyful. You know, He's designed us, and He's designed, you know, each part of our life, and knows exactly how we should be working in those moments.
So do y'all believe that you can idolize your spouse?
Of course. You know, we've gone through we've gone through seasons where I've idolized her, she's idolized me, and no, rather if we recognize
you do it
that
subconsciously.
Yeah.
Great point.
And
I'm so glad you touched on
you
that.
know, I think
And is it? I mean, it's deceiving.
Yes.
So I wouldn't say to beat yourself up about it because it's subconscious. But okay. So with that being said, how did you get out of that? Was it just through prayer, or just, you know, simply speaking? Like, don't underestimate the power of prayer. Or was it a conversation that happened? Practically speaking, into this through the deceiving part of it. Like, how did you become aware?
I think so. I would just like to share, just because I think this is something I went through, you know, most recently in our relationship. Just with, I think it was like right around quarantine. You know, I was just struggling, you know, with some mental issues and
back
things
in
like
March,
that.
May.
About March and April. You're just struggling with that, and you know, I was went home from college, and you know, Emily was the person I was like way closer to than anyone else in my life. And you know, I was just at home, and I was just constantly looking to her. And when she wasn't fixing my problems, I was like getting mad at her. And I was like, why are you not?
Great point.
Like, why are you not like, I wasn't actually saying this, but subconsciously I was saying, why are you not acting like God in my life? Right? Why are you not saving me? Why are you not, you know, carrying all these burdens and fixing all these situations for me?
And go ahead. Sorry.
And just dropping everything. And I think it took a lot for me to realize, I think just time after time, when I would go to Emily and I would lean on her and lean on her and lean on her, and not that this is any fault of her own, but she just couldn't provide the way Jesus provides. And that's not any downgrade on Emily. That's just who we are as human beings. I think I finally realized, you know, maybe I should try and do something else, right? It's almost like, if the door is locked and you're just going to keep trying and opening it, you know, it's just, it's never going to work. Right. And so I think just finally realizing after the millionth time that Emily is never going to, you know, satisfy my every need.
Like your soul. As though Jesus.
Yes. My soul. Like, just like who I am as a person, you know, just finally realizing that. And, you know, I guess just
leaning into it. Instead of ignoring it. So what were you gonna add?
Well, going off of that too, like, I mean, it was, and we all have our own issues and we all have burdens, and to an extent, that's like just part of being in a relationship is supporting each other emotionally and being like a support system. But there becomes a fine line, and I think there's been multiple times in both of our lives where we have like searched for ultimate comfort and for all of our issues to be solved like in the other person. And then specifically that time, like I just remember feeling so like burdened by this like responsibility that I had to like fix his anxiety and like carry all of his burdens. So you would literally
take these burdens on and try to be that.
And it got to the point where I was like, I feel like I can't have like my own issues. Wow. And so it took a really hard conversation. He like came over and we had a really long conversation, and he says he thought he would drive away single, but we made it through. But I just remember being like, you have to get help, and you have to like genuinely seek comfort in the Lord, genuinely seek your fulfillment in the Lord. And I mean, it's in scripture that nobody is good except for the Father. And like, if God created the universe, like we can trust his design on all these elements of a relationship. And so whether that be like physical boundaries, whether that be emotional boundaries, whether that be just where our comfort comes from and where our source of identity comes from, because all of these things in the world will fail us. Like there's a reason that this world is so broken, is because if we look for it to fill us and people of the world to fill us, no matter how wonderful Matthew is or how wonderful like I could ever be, like ultimately we are not God, and that is not his role. And then also navigating dating between being married is a really important thing that I think gets lost, of like the husband's job in a marriage is to lead the wife and to lead the family. But Matthew and I are not married yet. And so my faith should not be dependent on him, and his faith should not be dependent on me. And it goes back to like failing all the time. But like that is such an important lesson that I think people don't always understand, is like you have to be running at the Lord individually and at the same pace. Because otherwise, if you are pursuing the Lord, ultimately you're going to run towards one point. If you're running towards the Lord, and you can end up there together. And so I think that's like something that's been really important, is that we both keep our identity in the Lord, our focus on the Lord, and we can support and encourage each other. But by no means, like if Matthew and I, for whatever reason, broke up today, like I would be devastated, but I know that I would be okay, because I know that my identity is in the Lord, and that the Lord has better plans for me than I can ever imagine. And so I think that's a very important thing that long distance has taught us, because we are separate. So
good.
Our lives cannot revolve around each other day in, day out. And we also stayed in community is a very important thing.
Great point.
That is a whole nother conversation.
Yeah.
That could go on for.
Yeah.
I just based on like long distance, you know, we make jokes, not jokes. We say it was the hardest thing we ever did, because it is, but it also was such a blessing.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, and that's most of y'all's story too.
Yeah.
While dating was more long distance than in high school.
Yeah.
Like, together.
Yeah. We had no other option but to rely on God throughout college.
Wow.
And
so you would say that helped set up your marriage.
Oh yeah.
So we can make it through this.
No, I really do not think that if we didn't do long distance and didn't learn, like I didn't learn how to be Matthew Fletcher.
Yeah.
She didn't learn how to be Emily Prather, and what that means, and what that means in the kingdom of heaven, and just what that means, and, you know, just as, you know, I guess just like serving God here on earth. You know, if we didn't learn those things these past 3.5 years, we would not be like sitting right here talking about this. And so, you know, just long distance was so hard, but definitely refined us and to who we are, and made us into people that Christ wants us to be.
Yeah.
You know, or made us into people that we're striving towards God.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. I love that word, refine. I mean, that's what long distance does. And I want to speak into that just real quick, because I know I've heard it from some of my friends as well, that like, okay, we're going to make it out. I think there needs to be a point in time, if you are in a relationship that is long distance, that we like need to come to terms with the reality of what you're going through.
Yeah.
Like Jesus promises us peace and joy. And obviously our relationship, or y'all's relationship, and wasn't always peace and joy. I'm not saying as soon as you don't feel peace and joy, you should, you know, come to terms with your relationship. I'm not saying that, but I think there is a reality that like long distance is teaching something out of high school. Like it is a refining moment.
Yeah.
So come to terms with that. Is like, is this person truly it for me.
Yeah.
And if it's not, then don't stay in it. Don't let
Right.
that be
yeah,
point of identity.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So for those that are in a relationship and are feeling that tug, maybe from the Holy Spirit, or if you're not a Christian, if you're being hurt over and over and over again, then lean into that. Understand the reality behind that and the pressure behind that, because ultimately, I mean, even culture says be your happiest. I mean, you're probably not even happy, but you feel in chains about this relationship. Like, hear that it's okay to get out of it.
Yes.
I mean, there's, and kind of wrapping up, this is the question I want to kind of end on. What do you guys think about? Is there just the one that is out there for you? Or, because I've heard it both ways, so it literally answer it whatever. Or do you believe that there are plenty of others out there, but it's either by chance or it just happens organically? Because here's the thing, here's the reality behind dating. Dating's only been around, I think JP says it's like 153, 156 years, and there's thousands of years before that.
Yeah.
So dating is fairly new if you don't know that. Dating is a modern aged thing. So do you guys believe that there is the one, or if there are plenty of others out there, but you know that it's the one when you have the ring on? Speak on that.
You want to do it or you want me to?
I mean, we could
There's no
both,
right or
yeah,
wrong.
so we
There's
could
no right
both
or
go. I think I'm gonna answer this question like a little like differently.
Okay.
I think having the mindset that there is the one is hard
Yes.
as like a human, whether or not like it's true. Like that's like not the mindset that you should have.
Philosopher over there.
I don't know.
Look at him.
I don't know if that's.
Are you
like,
going into cybersecurity, or are you going to be the next freaking, I don't know,
But
philosopher?
just-
Nietzsche. He
yeah.
sucks. But anyways, go ahead.
I think you could agree with this.
Yeah.
Having that mindset at such a young age, that this has to work. This like there is nothing that
Come on.
I can do or not do, and this will work, right? You know, that's just not true. And but I also will say that I believe that Jesus put Emily in my life for a reason, and that is divine and only from heaven. And you know, the Holy Spirit has definitely worked and blessed, and God continues to show us throughout now as engaged, high school, long distance, and college. Like one thing that kept us going is not the world, not Emily, not me didn't show us that this is what God wants, but God continued to show us like this is the relationship that He wants. So I think I don't want to say yes or no, but do not have the mindset that this has to work.
End all be all kind of thing.
But I do believe that Emily was divinely given to me, and now she's going to be my wife. So,
how does that feel? How's that feel? Like?
Feels weird. Feels weird.
Yeah.
But
Weird.
Good weird.
Yeah,
Good weird.
Well, it's just because you've been through. You have this story of like, man, it's actually here.
Yeah.
Like,
I think that's the weirdest part.
Yeah. All right. What do you think?
So this
Emily.
is so going back to me being a hopeless romantic. I remember my freshman year of college. I was talking to my mentor, and she was like, I don't remember the exact quote, and I texted her about it a while ago, and she never got back to me. But it was basically like, you are not going to marry the person that is like the most compatible for you, the number one person. It's not going to be this movie. Like you look at them and they're like, oh yeah, this is it. And for some people it may be, and that's great. But ultimately, like you're going to marry whoever God calls you to marry. And that was so true, at least for me. Because it would be so easy to look around and see like, oh, maybe we would be more compatible with this other person, or like, oh, maybe this other person has more goals that are lined up, and you want to have some alignment in your goals, but it's like just simple things. And it's so easy to get caught up in like weaknesses and maybe places where they fall short, that you overanalyze and you question and you doubt. And Matthew is wonderful, but the biggest thing for me is like I felt called to marry Matthew Fletcher. And so that was something that the Lord revealed to me really early on, of just like Matthew is worth it, and like this is who I feel like God has given me. And so do I think there's one person for everyone out there? Honestly, I don't think so. JP, Jonathan Pokuda, love him. He says that it doesn't matter. There is no like one person for you, but you need to know the one, like capital O. And so talking about like there are a million people, and if 2 people love Jesus and seek him diligently, like, you can make it work. And so I think that you have to do that within reason, going back to not getting stuck, not being in a toxic relationship, and knowing what you're worth and not settling for anyone who's going to give you less than that. But it is, I don't think there's the one person for everyone. I think that every relationship, if God has ordained it, and if God has that in the will for your life, ultimately, like, it will be hard, it will be challenging, but God is good and God is sovereign and faithful above it all. And so I think that's very important to know.
Yes.
Does that answer your question?
Yeah, absolutely. So
Okay.
what I got is find freedom in it.
Yeah.
However it might be, if it's yes, if it's no, whichever. Because I know JP is very strongly no about it, which
Yes.
I agree. That's how I found freedom, because very quickly, I've been single since
No one's perfect.
I had like a girlfriend for like 2 months, junior year of high school, and I'm 23 out of college, and I've never had a girlfriend since. So for me, I found freedom in that question from JP of like, dating is actually a modern thing.
Yes.
And used to arranged marriage, like you marry somebody that you're around, and you might not find them the most attractive or whatever it might be. I don't even want to start to go that route because it's a whole nother way of thinking back then. But that's how I found my freedom. Was that perspective. So if it's yes, if it's no, if the one is out there and you think yes and you find freedom in it, then go for it.
Yeah.
But yeah, that answered it perfect. So, but yeah, wrapping up. Thank you guys. This was amazing. Man, love you so much. Happy for you, man. The happy New Year and happy engagement. So when is it's August 27th?
August 27th.
I better know that.
Last Friday in August.
Yes.
Hey, my birthday is August 4th, so I'm just gonna have a big month.
Yeah,
a big month.
Yeah,
that's a big month. So
it'll be fun.
Well, awesome. Well, thank you guys so much. You do a little fist bump action.
I love you.
Yeah, I love you too. Hey, I hope you enjoyed it. Engage with it. I'll leave my number like always, and like, share, and subscribe.
Comment, subscribe. Like, comment, and subscribe.
Yeah. Love you guys. See you.